Wonderful. Well, I appreciate it. Ben, tell us a little bit just about StudyStash in general.
StudyStash was made by myself and Jonathan while we were at university, and it's essentially an adaptive learning platform that uses AI and neuroscience to help other university students learn faster and more confidently. So basically, what we do, we plug into those LMS systems that are really boring, that universities are currently using, that students don't really like a whole lot, and we make them engaging and adaptive for students to make it easier to learn the content they have on their courses. Yeah, it was made at our own university at the University of Birmingham.
Nice. So while at university, you made a little bit of another university to make learning easier. Oh,
Yeah, for our housemates, for us mainly. And it's quite a cool story because we were releasing the week before the ChatGPT API came out. So I think we were the first company in actually probably the world to have a university case study that had integrated AI into their LMS. Because genuinely, like by the time this technology came out, we'd implemented it within 1 week, and it was already being adopted by a university. Like it would have taken another university at least 6 months to have that, but by chance we were at the right time.
interesting. Wow. Potentially one of the very first in the world to actually
I mean, I don't
have
know.
OpenAI.
We must have been.
Hey, I love that you guys are right on the cutting edge. Thinking back, like what was the actual like moment that the idea came around? What was the problem that you saw in front of you that you decided to solve?
I just remember the problem being we had so much content on my course. There was just hundreds and hundreds of pages of files everywhere, like PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, images, lecture recordings, lectures, and taking the lowest effort route for me and Jonathan. This is basically where we're at. We're like, what is the easiest way for us to do well? And we
Mm.
actually built something to help us actually learn the content ourselves. And it was really neat. And the moment it clicked for us was when we showed someone and they were like, oh my God, it can do that for me? Like in that quickly as well. And then it was just went viral within our own house. And then it went viral within our little college in engineering. And eventually the whole university adopted it in loads of different courses across the whole college.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it was essentially the amount of sheer study materials that you
Pretty
all
much.
had that you decided to find a way to, dare I say, compress it down and like distill the information in easier to understand manner.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just the different formats of learning it as well. So, I mean, I remember one of the first things we made was taking a PDF and make it into a game. And this was
Huh.
pretty mind-blowing for like ourselves even. We were like, there's no way it's made us an actual game we can play just to learn this document instead. And I'm dyslexic as well, right? So when I was looking at I don't know, a 25-page document that's just text, that's impossible for me. I mean, it's impossible for most students.
Absolutely, absolutely right. And but man, especially for like having dyslexia, being able to figure out all that information and learn it effectively. So when you guys came up with this idea, right? You figured how can we actually make it easier for us to learn? Were you thinking about entrepreneurship and starting a business and a company around this?
No, in fact, it was kind of the opposite. I mean, we were doing it for fun and for ourselves. And then I think it got a little bit more serious when we turned it off, actually. So we had a huge update. And again, this wasn't because we were starting a business, it's because we were updating the software and we were enjoying making it. And we turned it off at maybe 2:30 in the morning. And we had a few students email us, like, please turn it back on. I'm studying and can't access my notes. And we were like, oh, and then we were swearing. There's no way the students are actually using this in the middle of the night. And this is like a Sunday night or something crazy. And that was when we realized, okay, students actually do like what we've built here. We should make this into an actual thing.
Wow. Wow. So, I mean, when did you first, did you ever have an interest in entrepreneurship before this program, or how'd you even go that direction?
I think naturally both myself and John were doing like things beforehand. So I had my own business where I was basically advising IT and tech companies what's software to build and winning them clients and stuff. And he was doing the same but the opposite. So he was in a tech company or started his own tech company building software. And actually we were kind of like we're doing a very similar thing but actual opposite sides of the business as
Mm.
well. So we're both doing like little bits before. And then one thing for me, I was actually, when I was like 15 or 16, I would sell items online, on like Minecraft and Steam games and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed that kind of side to things.
Wow, interesting. So even just like starting to sell random little, what were they, digital items inside of the games?
Yeah, I tell Joe, I think I've told you this before. In fact, I was one of those kids you see on the news, like, when you see the article, like one kid has spent loads of his parents' money on like games online. And that happened to me. Like, I was spending so much money online. And then one day I remember my dad was like, you have to stop. I've only just realized you've been doing this. And what happened was I started doing the opposite. So I started then selling some of the things that I've been buying online. And then I realized it's actually way more fun to sell them than it is to buy them. And I think at that moment I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then I remember sitting at home on my laptop, like on Steam on Minecraft digital items, being like $200, $300, $500. And like I remember one day I went downstairs to my mom, like I made like $1,400 today. And this little 15-year-old telling their mum that she was like, "You're doing something illegal. Like, what are you doing?" And that was really when I found that I enjoy this kind of side of things.
Wow, nice. And that's so interesting to me, always how people get into business in the first place, right? And sort of get into entrepreneurship. Because we work at BizWorld so much with youth, the question often comes up, well, can anybody become an entrepreneur? What's your thoughts on that?
Joe, maybe what
Yeah,
do you
I
think?
would. I think it's interesting because obviously getting to know John and Ben, um, there's something within them which I think is very different to, for example, myself. I do not have an entrepreneurial bone in my body. I just don't. I have lots of dramatic bones in my body. I'm creative, but I just don't have that kind of drive in a way to create something and make it a business and next step and next step. And Ben and John have that in absolute spades. They are so incredibly driven and so motivated and very, very kind of ambitious and hungry. I think tenacious is a really good word for it. And they're switched on in that kind of specific way. And like you were saying with the games and also the fact that the first iteration was kind of gamification of learning. I think gaming is probably a fantastic way for youth to get into it. Like with you, Ben, you realize that you could do something and you could be gaming, be on these kind of online worlds, make something, and then find something that people are looking for and sell that to them. I think that just never would have ever, when I used to use Minecraft, I'd be like, do, 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 let me get some animals, it's just completely different. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that you believe, Joe, that the underlying qualities of the classic entrepreneur, you almost just maybe weren't born with, where
Yeah.
Ben and John much more are.
Yeah. I think it's probably something innate within you. It's not ever something that was something that I had where I was like driven to kind of build something to fill a gap and to make this thing. I love doing creative stuff and writing and marketing and coming up with strategy and plans, but I would never be like, oh, I've seen this issue, let me be the one to sell it. I'd be like, so how could I market that? It's just, I think it's a bit of a different thing, but I think anyone could have that. I suppose the barrier would be there's got to be an option, percentage of luck, I suppose, within that. But Ben and John, who are both very similar, both very driven, met and were housemates and had this idea, came up with it together. And so there's definitely luck and there's definitely something innate within you. So I suppose, yeah, that's my answer in a roundabout way.
But Wayne, I'd be interested if we did this call in 2 years' time, and this would be my answer, similar to Joe's, but slightly different. Is will Joe now be an entrepreneur in 2 years, etc.? Because she spends time with entrepreneurs as well. So mine's maybe slightly different. That if we put the right people around anyone, I think it gives them the opportunity to. With some of our investors now, we've got some really exciting guys. Some of them have raised, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, one guy even sold his company for $4.5 billion. And I think having the right people around us is going to make Joe as well into an entrepreneur soon, whether she realizes it or not.
Well, pretty, yeah, watch this space, Wayne. Maybe in 2 years' time, I'll be the queen of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, everybody's timeline is definitely different. And by no means does everybody need to be an entrepreneur. But it's interesting to hear the difference of opinion here, where Joe, you're saying that, Ben and Jonathan almost were maybe born with it. They have this quality where you feel that you don't. Whereas all of a sudden now Ben is saying that, well, if the question is, can anyone become an entrepreneur? I'd say, well, maybe once you're surrounded by other entrepreneurs, right? Other business-minded people, now you could potentially change, right? It sounds like that's what's going on.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
argue Joe is an entrepreneur now, whether she realizes it or not, because in reality, she's part of a very, very small team of entrepreneurs. That's just the reality of it. So
Okay.
whether she humbles herself and says she's not, I would argue she is now.
Well, thank you. I will take that.
Ben, define for me then, like what is an entrepreneur?
Ooh, you know what? It's someone who can solve problems quickly in the right way and be open to learning and changing. That's pretty much everyone in our company right now. I mean, how else are you going to describe it? It's someone who can, take a challenge and solve it in pretty much whatever they do. And I think the learning bit's important. It's someone who has to be open to change, especially with everything going on right now. Pretty much nothing we're talking about will probably be relevant in 6 months because it'll be a completely different landscape. But we're changing so quickly, the
Mm,
whole company, the landscape, everything. So that's what I think.
interesting. Nice. Yeah, being able to solve problems, challenges quickly, right? Free,
Important
take
ones. Yes.
important ones. Yep. Take action. That's great. Pivoting a little bit, I want to hear how you all originally found BizWorld, found the Yes program, and then, of course, whatever impact it may have had on StudyStash. And so, thinking back, Ben, like, how did you first actually find out about BizWorld and the Yes program?
So StudyStash, because it was made at university, we were part of the Elevate program, which is a program as part of the university's entrepreneurship work called Elevate. And they kind of reached out. I think BizWorld reached out to Elevate, and then we were put forward as one of the few companies. There was one other company called National Neurodiversity Training.
Mhm.
And then I believe we had a few interviews, etc., to get onto the program. But we were a little bit late joining, so we joined in maybe week 4 of the program.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay, so it was a different entrepreneurship program. Were you all already inside of that actually, or just existed at the university?
Yeah, we were already in that program, and then I believe someone dropped out, so there was a spare space, and we jumped on it.
Okay, nice. If you can remember, like what caused you to jump on it? Like what caused you to think, hey, this is actually a great opportunity?
So in reality, I read up about the program, and we were extremely busy, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna join the first session because I saw the speakers, and for
Mm.
me, the main reason and the main value, which we'll discuss later, was the people, like the externals that were coming in to speak at the program. And I saw on week 1 there was like 5 VCs. And I was like, okay, this is some serious stuff right here. And I joined on us. And the other thing was motivation. So I saw the sessions were at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. And you know what other weird student apart from me is gonna be like, oh my God, that sounds so fun. But I thought that's something for me to join to actually motivate me for the weekend and make sure I don't just like waste my whole Saturday. So that was the original 2 things. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a go. I remember joining the first session, like, oh my God, this is amazing. How have they pulled these people together? And then I joined every week and we continued and ended up winning the prize. So,
Mm. Exciting. Okay, so in the beginning, it was very much the lineup of the different entrepreneurs, speakers, venture capitalists that come in to actually help educate every single week.
yes. And the titles of the weeks were what drew me in because they were all so relevant. They were not like anything generic. It was literally how to get your first users. It was how to get your first funding. It was how to set up in the right way. Everything that was, relevant and on our agenda was being spoken about.
Mm.
And personally, what I find at the moment, a big issue we have in the UK is a lot of the incubators are more like airy fairy, as I'd call them, and then generically talking about setting up a business and protecting your IP. Whereas this was very sales focused and business first. like the US culture of, okay, go get users, go get money, revenue, cash is king. And to me, I was like, oh, we need more of that rather than less. So it was the titles of the sessions that drew me in, really.
That's interesting for me to hear about that. You said that BizWorld seems to be very get it done. These are the things. It's not just theory, airy fairy, like potentially you're saying other programs might be. It is each week, it's like, let's grow a business. Let's get this thing to market, make it real, not just theory.
Exactly. That was my
Mm.
number one takeaway of why I enjoyed the program and why I carried on going every week when we were probably at that busiest point.
It feels more like a toolkit rather than theory. It feels like a toolkit. So yeah.
Toolkit rather than theory. I've actually never heard it put that way. Super interesting. Okay, well, so then it's wonderful to hear that all the speakers were so valuable. Was there anything that once you were on the inside actually surprised you about the program that you maybe weren't expecting?
Yeah, I think there was younger people than we were expecting. I think we were the oldest people on the course. And I mean, we were like 21, 20 maybe. I think we were 20. And then everyone else was younger than us, and we've never really had that before, right? It was like, oh my God, they're like 15.
Yeah.
And, and the businesses as well were advanced, quite advanced.
Mm.
So yeah, that was surprising for sure.
That's surprising to me always as well. Right. See, Joe, it's well, you know what's funny to me is that the piece of like, is it born in you? When you get, 15-year-old entrepreneurs that they're coming to the biz world running their second, sometimes their third business, it's like, how did you get to this place?
I mean, it's so funny because me and Johnny, the customer success manager, we were always kind of in awe of Ben and John, because they're so, like I was saying, tenacious, so driven, and we're like, God, they're 22 and 23, and Johnny and I'm 31 and Johnny is 30. God, or something. So we're saying, I just can't believe it, and they were doing this at uni, and they got firsts, and then Ben saying, they were 15 and we kind of felt like the old ones. That's insane to me. So, maybe it is that culture and being surrounded by the right people, but maybe it's also something you're born with, because that is so young. When I was 15, I was probably on Minecraft or watching musical, watching High School Musical again,
Don't worry, same. Same. So Ben, I do a lot of these interviews with participants from the S program, and we consistently hear how great the mentorship was in the program. What role do you think mentorship actually plays in entrepreneurship success?
I think it's everything, to be honest, because we wouldn't be where we are without my dad giving us so much advice, and he's had startups. We wouldn't be where we are because of all the other mentors we've had. And I think importantly, the best mentors have come from people who've had their own businesses already. But deadly important. I mean, just this week, I'll give you an example. I spoke to about 8 founders because I was at a conference in Nashville where the hat came from. And the learnings I got just from that one conference would probably take us 3 to 4 years to get. And it's just a culmination of all their learnings, like people almost going bankrupt. It's making bad hires. It's, funding. It's getting their first 40 universities. And all, even the formation of the company and your IP. That for us, I mean, we made a US company and then made a UK subsidiary for funding reasons, and that will only show the impact later down the line. But that'll cause us huge problems if we didn't set up in the right way. And even just the learnings from this week alone would have taken us years. And that's the kind of stuff you can only get from mentorship. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, is what I would say. So, however good you are, it doesn't really matter.
Man, it's so true, right? You don't know what you don't know. And what you just said, as far as you decided, because somebody told you, a mentor said, hey, set up your business in this way, right? The impact won't be for years, but they were speaking from experience, I bet. Right?
Exactly. And I'll give you another example. I mean, Joe will know this as well in terms of our brand. So if you go to StudyStash.com, you will see our new website, our new brand. Everything looks amazing. But it's not just a website, it's the messaging that's followed through in every single one of the documents we've sent out in the last 3 months. Now, that was an upfront cost for us that was like maybe $30,000 that I was going, let's not, I really don't want to do this. I don't think we should do it. We could do it ourselves. And only now, because we had our CMO, who's a very experienced edtech guy, who said, no, let's do this. I promise you'll be worth it in the long run. It's made all the difference. And we seem extremely professional. Everything is done to this quality of standard rather than all the way down here. And it's something we wouldn't have done, to be honest. We just wouldn't have done it.
Mentors sharing experience is the most powerful thing. Like it speeds up your learning curve, man.
And it goes back to what Ben was saying, that it's about being surrounded by the right people as well. So, without mentors and without mentorship and without the opportunities and the learning that you get from mentors, you're really not having the chance to grow and learn in the same way. So again, goes back to the fact that what we were saying, it seems like it is both innate and also the proximity to mentorship and kind of other people's learnings, which is interesting, isn't it? That's already its way through this conversation already.
There you go. Something else that I hear is that students tell us that they learn potentially more through entrepreneurship than even in the school system. What's, in your opinion, is maybe a skill that someone watching, somebody listening, could learn through entrepreneurship that they might not learn in school?
Ooh, tough question. I mean, I would just say everything. I mean, pretty much everything I've learned in the past few years has been through this. And whether that be leadership or communication or ownership, I don't know. Everything has pretty much been through this, because this is where you have true accountability. At the end of the day, I'm the one, if we make no sales, the company goes bankrupt. We've got to make sure salaries go through. We have to make sure bills are paid. And it's only when you actually have true ownership of something that, you have to buckle down and truly, get through it at the other end. You're the only one the people are coming to. And I've had jobs at big corporate companies. I used to work at PwC, and the level of ownership is there. But then, if something doesn't get done, at the end of the day, they employ 400,000 people. So, you're just a cog in their machine at that point.
That's true. Which, I mean, it's not a bad thing to be a cog in that machine,
Oh.
right? Because as long as you can have some of these skills even that you just mentioned of leadership, communication, ownership, you don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be an entrepreneur for these to be really valuable skills. I mean, Joe, do you see anything else within maybe Ben or Jonathan or just the idea of entrepreneurship overall that you would piece together for learnings in this versus learnings in school?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say as well, something that I find infuriating is that I didn't have the opportunity to have something like StudyStash when I was at uni, because it was history. So I did my undergrad and my master's in history. So they're very content heavy. But what things like traditional, learning like history and like some universities, they don't teach you the value of forethinking and agility. So those are the two things that I've really seen within John and Ben, and especially within StudyStash, is being agile, having the openness to be ready to kind of pivot on a whim, not really a whim, but to move quickly and be agile, I think is really important. It's not something that you learn. It's not something that, they're not like, oh, the Battle of the Boyne really taught me how to be agile, things like that. That's a British thing. But then also forethinking, general studies and things that you do, they don't teach you to do those kind of things. But then, Ben and John got the ISO 2000 thing. They did this massive piece of work to set up something for the company that, again, isn't something that we necessarily need right now, but they got that done. The forethought that goes into lots of their decision making, from going to the US, which Ben's recently done, from setting up those things, I don't think they really teach you at school and things like that. And again, it's something that they've learned from mentorship, or from that innate kind of drive within them to go further, to seek more,
I think there's something to do with risk as well. Like, I have a very, very high tolerance to risk. I remember speaking with a family friend who was like an advisor in terms of cash, and they remember that they're saying, like, put some of your money in a 2 or 3 with a risk profile, and you put a little bit in a 5, and then you have a very small amount in like an 8 or 9 or 10. And I remember being like, put it all in a 9 and let's just see what happens. And my parents obviously were like, please don't do that. I was like, it's my money, and we're going to do that. And, it's definitely gone down for sure in the past, but I think there's just an innate tolerance to risk that maybe we have as well. When it came to the US, maybe it was the completely wrong thing to do. But I was just like, we're going to do it because, you only live once kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe there is something about being opposite of risk averse as well, that you definitely don't get to follow risks. I don't think at normal kind of learning schools.
No.
Really.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, right. You have to be comfortable with a certain level of risk. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, first, I already appreciate your guys' time so much. I'll try not to take much more of it by any means. We're always trying to get more students, more young entrepreneurs into BizWorld and into the Yes program. Now, if somebody's listening, if you speak directly to them, like, why should they stop scrolling on social and potentially look into BizWorld or apply to the Yes program?
I would say you've heard this before. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and for the sake of just stopping and scrolling and having a little bit of a look, that's where we started, and now we're in a hell of a better position. So, for the sake of 5 minutes, I think it's worth applying to for sure.
It's so true, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You miss 100% of what you don't just go look into.
Yes.
Which is crazy. Maybe somebody out there that's already a young entrepreneur, just getting going. They have a dream of being a business owner. What advice might you give to them that they could eventually get into a position like you are in, where you're actually running a rapidly growing, dare I say, successful new venture?
It's a great question. What would I tell a younger me? I would say, obviously, number one is if you don't start, you don't start. So, like I've said to so many people, the only way to get started is actually by getting started. But then the second thing is knowing why you're doing it, I'd say. And that's really, really important because I see so many founders at the moment building and they don't really know what problem they're solving, or they don't fully understand why they're actually doing something. I think if you fully understand exactly why you're doing something, everything else just kind of flushes through. It's the people who start something to make money or to, try and build a business without actually having an initial problem they're trying to solve. They're the ones who struggle. So I think really understanding what problem it is and what niche you're going after is step 2. Step 1, get started, and step 2, understand why you're doing it yourself. And step 3 is having the ability to stop as well, which is the hardest thing by far ever, that nobody can ever teach you. Stop and realize, actually, are the steps you're taking the right ones? For example, I spoke to a guy recently who was building something, and I said, well, why are you building it? He went, because of this and this. I was like, okay, but if you went back, is that the right, like, shouldn't you just be validating before you're actually building? He goes, oh yeah. And then we stepped even further back. So it's about, taking the time you need to actually understand why you're doing what you're doing, I guess.
That's great. Get started, right? Dive deep into what's the exact problem you're solving and for who, right? And then actually take a step back and make sure you have the clarity of why you're doing something, right? Who you're doing it for.
It's my advice.
That's absolute great advice. Now, okay, here's a little bit of a different question for still advice though, right? You spoke about how important the speakers were, right? That came in and presented, the mentors, right? If you could speak to any of them out there, like, why should they get involved with helping young entrepreneurs?
Well, I mean, hopefully some of them invested in us eventually, and we help them make a killing for their fund, for one. But for 2, I mean, come on, it's an incredible opportunity to help people like us and help young entrepreneurs. And I would say this is the reason I think people should help. But by giving and not expecting anything in return, it will almost inevitably come back to you in some way. So lots of those mentors who helped us, I've helped in 100 different ways, just because it's naturally like we give back. And I think that that's something that will ring true for absolutely anyone that helps with this, is that it will find mysterious ways to support you back. I mean, maybe this video that we're, supporting you guys with will come back and bring other investment to us, or maybe all sorts. There's so many opportunities that come out by getting out there. Even just the people you'll meet as joining, you'll meet another 100 VCs or 100 investors or founders. It's an incredible opportunity for the other side as well.
Well said. Well said. So, Ben, Joe, I'm excited. Yeah, go ahead, please.
You could change the course of someone's life. Like, you could change the trajectory of their life by inspiring them in this kind of way. The people who have inspired and supported Ben and John are now seeing this business that has grown, that has gone over to the US, that is now within, South Africa and the UK and the EU. And if one person hadn't been in that kind of group of inspiration and support and, offering something that lit a spark in both Ben and John, then this might not be here. But because of, a group of people, but potentially even just one of them, changed the whole trajectory of their careers with this. So yeah, you could change someone's life.
Absolutely. Wow. Right. You literally change the trajectory of somebody's life. Like, amazing. So, talk about the future, the trajectory of somebody's life. What's something happening in StudyStash that you guys are looking forward to? Like, what's on the horizon for you all?
Well, as soon as we get off this call, we've just announced our funding round, our first ever venture round, and we've officially closed our pre-seed round, which is amazing. Straight off out of university, it took us 3 months, and we had some brilliant people come on board. No VCs or anything like that. We had individuals who believe in the mission, and many of them not being angel investors before as well. So that's particularly a testament to how much they believe in us.
Oh.
And what's new for us, so that funding round comes with some exciting new partnerships. We've got university partners in the UK, Europe, in Finland, in Latvia. We have some in South Africa, like I mentioned before, and also the US. So I'm in New York right now, kicking off our first US universities. Very exciting.
Wow. Very exciting. Congrats on wrapping up this funding round so that it's, new people that just believe in you all. Like, that really says a lot. And then with it, of course, lots of partnerships is so valuable, man. That's super exciting, Ben. Super exciting, Joe. Congrats, guys.
Thanks. I remember we had one investor say, I could buy a house with this. And he'd never done it, investing before. We said, you could, or you could believe in these two young guys who, are going to try and make a huge success out of this. And here we are. And he's one of our main investors now.
Nice. Okay, so they're looking even farther into the future. Let's say like 5 to 10 years from now. What are your hopes for StudyStash?
So, I mean, maybe I'll start, and Joe, you could help me out. But essentially, I would like this to be accessible for every university student in the world. I mean, we've already broken into, I think, four continents. But wouldn't it be amazing if this could be made available for all students for free? And that's actually our vision that we're trying to accomplish, is that students never pay anything for this as well. So the current model is the college pays for it for the student. And that really works well for us because not everyone can afford this kind of technology. So if it can be made available for everyone, that's our mission.
Mm-hmm. Wow, make it available for the entire world, every single student that's out there, and especially even if they can't afford it, it's still available to them.
That's the dream.
That's wonderful. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I truly don't know, because this, StudyStash is just this kind of juggernaut. It's very much watch this space. In 5 years, I can't imagine what we'll be doing, based on what I've been here a couple of months with the company and what we've already done, where we've already been, what we've already achieved. It's, imagining 5 years in the future is difficult, because it's kind of like, well, where's the line? I don't think there's anything that we can't do, especially being led by Ben and John, with their full thoughts and their agility. So yeah, I'd say watch this space, because I think big things are already happening and big things are going to continue to happen. And if they dream it, we can do it.
I'm excited to follow along. Absolutely. And so then everybody else that's out there, right? They want to follow along your all's journey as well, right? Where's the best place for them to go to learn more about you, about StudyStash and everything you're working on?
LinkedIn, our website. We've now, thanks to Joe, got a news and insights page. So you can pretty much follow all our new glorious partnerships and announcements.
Yeah, I'd say LinkedIn. We're definitely more active on LinkedIn because we've got a lot of long form stuff longer form stuff that we're posting than you can fit on Twitter or X as it was. So for all the juicy stuff, LinkedIn, and definitely our website as well.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Greatly appreciate it. Any last thoughts or just questions or anything at all that I didn't maybe ask that I should have?
There was one really small thing that I liked about BizWorld. I mean, it gave us the opportunity to go to Silicon Valley and San Francisco. I mean, like, Jonathan had never been to America. And like, I mean, I'd never been to the West Coast before. And it's amazing. Like, even just to go to Silicon Valley and pitch in front of all these people was amazing. I mean, like, we were in a small little city in Birmingham compared to the big United States.
Yep.
And Silicon Valley itself was what a place. So even the opportunity to go there, I mean, in fact, I closed investors that week from a 20-second conversation we had with them, just because we were there because of BizWorld. I mean, like separate things, but every opportunity leads you to other doors, right? So, I mean, to me, physically, that was appealing. I mean,
absolutely. No, that's great. And thanks for sharing that. That's actually a piece that Jonathan shared also, right? Of course, it's not like, BizWorld, this is the reason for it, 100%. They gave you this money. But like I said, every road leads to different opportunities. And it was through the program you all were there to pitch. You got to meet some VCs and close funding that week, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And Silicon Valley is a cool place as well. We had our first Waymo with self-driving cars and all sorts like this.
Exciting. Nice. Thanks for sharing. I'm happy that I asked. Joe, do you have any other last thoughts that I'm missing?
Would just be, that again, it with BizWorld, you may have that innate kind of entrepreneurial spark within you, but if BizWorld helps you be around those people, meet those people, get those mentorships, open up doors for opportunities, then that's the kind of perfect combination, it seems, from our conversation, that you have that mentorship, those opportunities, and also that spark. So go for it.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. Like, anytime, reach out if there's anything we can help with. The very last thing I'll say is that the big reason for calls like this is because we want to know what's happening. And really, if there's ever someone that LinkedIn's the perfect example. If you see Ben, Joe, they're like, you know what, we would love to meet these people. Oh, look, they have a connection through BizWorld somehow, or anybody on the team in the whole world. Reach out, ask. Like, we honestly want to help all of the BizWorld students, yes, young entrepreneurs, for forever is really the hope.
Amazing.
Well, if you know any universities,
we will definitely follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you know any unis, connect to us, please.